Closing the window. What are blinds? Hello, how are we? It's Thursday, 11th September. Never forget. This is just my face. Let me get the screen ready for you. A little bit behind schedule today, but we're good to go. All right, here we go. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all making good trades. That's what it's all about. I've had a pretty good week myself. Not too sure what's going on here. Great, cool, whatever. Price action today, very, very positive. Obviously, we had CPI come out earlier. It was, it was quite a hot report. Don't actually look at the details, but price action is what we're here for. And price action, as you can see, is I just realised I don't have my microphone plugged in. I've done this before. Give me 1 second. But you can admire the chart and how it is at the moment. Where is it? Is that the wind? I think the wind has actually just pushed all of that across my desk. Oh, hang on. How many ports left? Can anyone hear me? As in, is it good enough quality to last? Or do I have to do something? What a fantastic way to start a stream. Well, we're going to run with that for now. And hopefully that is okay. There we go. See the screen a bit better. The power hour breakout report that I normally trade has already been ruined. And that's kind of what we had last Thursday as well, with the price action that you can see on the screen. Just kind of gradually going up, pushing into the close. And obviously the high of the day was set back here a couple of hours into the market open. Kind of been touring around the area, so it would have been a nice time to go short. But of course, with the strength in the market and the news that we had today, so it kind of makes sense to kind of leave it. What we do have is a power hour continuation, almost, should we say. So when we go into power hour, the likelihood of it finishing green is probably quite high. So let's go ahead and look into that. First of all, we'll go to stock. We could just touch the bookmarks over here on the watch list, but we will just kind of browse through so you can see. We'll go choose report. We'll go to opening account. No, sorry. Power hour continuation. There you go. I've also not put my glasses on. Wow, what a day. And you can see 86% of the time it's closed green when price action is green going into the last hour. Okay, so you can see that, and it's like it's kind of continuing nicely. What you could have done, maybe it's a bit late now, perhaps. Well, maybe not. If it comes back down to this level, you might get another entry to kind of go higher. But what you could have done was kind of enter the 20 moving average, because we would have had going into power hour, which is blue line, kind of vertical blue line here. Obviously, the 86% of the time it will finish as green from that point onwards. So we drop down, come back down to 20 moving average, bit of support there. So perhaps we could have entered with a tight stop loss below the very clear trend line that's been set throughout the day. So what you could have done was essentially entry. Your target would be up here. That'd be the main target. You probably cut it before the market closes, and then you'd have the stop loss nice and tight here. So it's a 7-to-1 trade. It's a bit frothy. Maybe you could do. I mean, yesterday's high would be a bit lower than this. I think, yeah, it would be a lot lower. Yeah, previous day high. So you couldn't really use that. So you would be using pretty much this green line as a main target, then basically closing the trade at close, regardless of where it is, whether it's here or up a bit further up here, or even if it's just kind of trading below here, you must close the trade before the end. But unfortunately, we missed that. I'm too busy fumbling around. Plus, that was about 20 minutes ago. So, did I turn that off by accident? I did. There you go. Let's turn that one off. So the power hour continuation report is actually quite good. It's more reliable, should we say, because you've got that kind of backing of, the big percentages, 86% closed green once you've entered that hour, and obviously 89% closed red once you've opened that hour. And that's because it's closed above the market session open, which is obviously down here, which makes sense. The other one that I normally use is the power hour breakout report, which is essentially, well, let's go to it. Let's go to Edgepool, go to power hour breakout, using these drop downs on the left side here. And then this is just a generic overview in the last 6 months. So you can change this to the last 5 months or whatever. You could actually do, and I've said this a few times before to other people, you could actually do this from the bull run, if that makes sense. So let's go open a new tab. Let's open up the swing one for now. And let's head over to SPY. We'll go to the daily chart, because since April, we've basically just gone up pretty much. So we're looking at the date of April, the April turnaround. Let's say things calm down and they probably start the bull run probably around about here-ish, really, after all of the volatility and stuff that happened. So let's go ahead and go for April 22nd. Which is actually not that far off. So 6 months is obviously March the 11th, and then from here, oh, that's not what I wanted. Okay, until now. What's the date? Yeah. So what we've done is the date range from the 22nd is these US dates. 22nd of April to today. The data is going to be slightly different, and this is every day. And what you can do on top of that is actually go to customize report. No, we go to custom sub report, weekday, and then it comes up with every Thursday within that time frame. So you can actually see the generic one. If we go by standard instead of weekday, the generic one is 31%, something like that. There you go. A new high of day is made. So that's still pretty high odds, really. You're probably looking around about 20 in terms of real favor, in your favor. And then, of course, switching that to by the weekday, we'll increase that because obviously it's less data. And also it's more specific to the day. So we can see now it's 42% likely. So it's an extra 11% more likely it's going to make a new high of day. And of course, with today's price action, which we've seen here, it's already broken that. So it already made a new high of day within this last hour. So on a Thursday, this will now be, I don't know, like 43, 44%. This time next week, we'll have a look at that, of course, on the live stream. So you can see where that kind of data lies. But once you've had that trade, so say you place that trade, you feel like the market's, it's topping out a little bit, it's perhaps losing volume, losing steam, it's breaking different metrics, maybe a trend line here and there. So say, for example, this trend line was actually, well, it's hard to do it because it's kind of trending up, but say it was kind of breaking the trend line just after the hour had turned, which has happened before. I've traded on that before, and we've gone through the different scenarios on these streams before. But you're looking for a short position in this case, an entry around about here, let's say, for example, And of course, your stop loss, just ignore all this price action that's happening now. Your stop loss would be above the high, because obviously that's where the data lies. And then your target price would be the nearest line, essentially. Let's get rid of the moving averages for this example. And these lines on the screen are very simply set out because of the first hour of trading of every day. And that's represented in this green box here on the left. And that's called the initial balance breakout. You can see that in the top left corner there. All of these indicators, by the way, you can tap on the indicator section here. It will eventually load. You go to invite only, and then all the indicators will be here. You automatically get them once you sign up to Edgefill and use the platform, etc. And then you get all of those indicators for free. They're actually really handy. Maybe we could do a session. Might do it next week. Might do a session on just the indicators and having a look around how they can help you and benefit you on different reports. Because even this one alone, obviously it sets the levels out for the day, and every day is different because every day's first hour is a different range. You see what I mean? So today we've had this range, and of course it's created these lines, and this whole box is essentially 2 lines, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about there. So let's draw out that box and then drag it higher. That is essentially 2 of those lines, and obviously the middle one is halfway. Just go to the day before. Obviously a bit of a smaller box than it was today, as you can see on the screen there. And of course, that translates into smaller lines and smaller targets. But I hope you can see kind of throughout the day, these lines do kind of get met. Obviously not perfectly, but it's kind of a rough aim to get to, which is what I use for kind of target profit zones, which is why we spoke about, did I have that long position still? No. Which is why we spoke about when we were doing the long position example. My target would be this green line with a tight stop loss down here, and very simply that would be the trade. Obviously we weren't lucky enough to get into that tonight. That's kind of how it is. But going back to the short position, I know I'm a bit all over the place here. If this price action, as I mentioned, didn't happen, we would have the stop loss above here and it would start going down. We would be looking at this line, which kind of translates into what I was talking about a second ago with the first hour of price action. I probably made that sound really confusing. But hey, I say words, you perceive them how you want to perceive them. See, for now, this is quite interesting because now we could easily, let's get rid of this. We could easily say, oh, okay, maybe it's going to use the high of day as support. So it's kind of broken out, it's done well. It's come back down, maybe use that support. And of course, we've got a bit of a trend line, a little mini trend line here. There's a bit of support there as well. So you could go ahead and get into this now. I'm not going to because I'm kind of in the middle of doing this, so it doesn't make sense for me to kind of plow into that. But obviously stop loss below, let's say below this line, and of course below the trend line as well. So you've got 2 kind of bits of support there. Again, with a nice target of all the way up here. And this would be based on the other report, a continuation report. I've completely forgotten the name of it. Power hour continuation. Because obviously we're looking for it to basically close green from this point onwards, upwards, which again you could represent with the stop loss just below there. So then that's that covered as well. So you've got the data here, you've got this IB line, you've also got the trend line there. So you've got 3 points of support there. You've probably got some volume, which I don't have on the screen right now because there's too many indicators for me. Probably got a moving average in there. Yeah, there you go. So you could easily get in, maybe not now, but maybe about 2 minutes ago. Well, you could do it now, depending on what your risk to reward is like, potentially. Because even if it was now, you're looking at a risk to reward of 1.6, which is okay for a scalp. It's a little bit longer than a scalp because you're probably hoping for this to kind of happen in the next 15 minutes, which is a big ask to make that move in 15 minutes. It's very possible, of course, but a breakdown below this trend line is also very possible, which is why you want to enter on the money, right on the point of contact. So where was it? There we go. There. Now that I haven't placed this trade, you can just watch it play out because it probably will do that. Let me know if you've got any questions. Let me try and create some banners while we're here. It's a shame, right? It says I've got some music here, which I can use for the background, but it's just awful. Sorry, StreamYard, but it is dance pop. So I think we're going to stick with silence while I get the banner up. If you want access to the Edge Vault, it's going to be in my description on the YouTube if you're watching that, and of course there's a link in my bio on my X as well. So go ahead and check it out. We'll have a look around as well because we're gonna, while this is playing out, we'll have a look around and see what's going on in the markets because it's been an interesting day, that's for sure. It's been an interesting week actually. It feels like we've just gone straight up. So this is the daily chart you can see on the screen. Obviously I've got lines drawn on because that's obviously what we're looking at here. So we just have to kind of ignore that little block at the top there. But yeah, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. So we've kind of gone up nicely this week. Just keep plugging upwards. Obviously, it's not going to last forever, but it's nice while it lasts. The weekly looking really frothy. I wonder what the RSI is like. Not too bad, actually. When you're doing stock analysis and stuff, it's always good to go from the bigger time frames down to the smaller time frames, especially if there's a position that you kind of like. One that I really liked actually was XRP. I pointed out a couple of days ago on my X channel, which you may or may not have seen, depending if you're a follower or not. But which you should be, by the way. Follow me on X. Maybe I should make that banner. Let's do that. Oh, I already have. Never mind. There you go. Whoa, that's big. Why is that so big? Well, there you go. I'm just going to take that off because it's too big. I need to maybe make that a bit smaller. Oh, here we go. Look, what's this? I can change different things here. Let's try that again. That's better. That's more manageable, isn't it? But you already know that because you're probably watching me on X. Right. XRP. This is what I really want to have a look at. So it's obviously breaking out of the nice trend line, depending on which way you want to draw it. I mean, you could draw it across these highs as well. It's still kind of breaking out. So there is definitely hope there for XRP. And you can see on the right side, there's lots of volume profile here. It's pushing out of potentially. I've got two stop losses, got two positions. I've got two stop losses down here. And obviously the target prices of here and here, they're quite conservative, but the fees on crypto on my platform are just ridiculous. So I try not to hold them for too long, if you see what I mean. But RSI looking quite nice, kind of coming up nicely. And of course, we do have the MACD, which is looking rather good. The kind of momentum part of it kind of flowing through the green line there, as you can see, and of course the actual positive histogram there as well. for XRP. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that develops. It's a fairly small position, of course, of the nature of the asset. So I'm not worried if it doesn't work out too much. Of course, my Bitcoin trade, which I keep talking about on X, it's doing pretty well. Not too sure what that green line's for. Get rid of that. That must be something on a shorter time frame. I'm going to leave it there for now. But yeah, nice entry. I think stop loss is now here, which is why that red line is now back up there. So let's get rid of that. And obviously the target remains 118,000 for profit. Right. Going back to the trade that we were speaking about earlier, of course, we do have lots of volatility coming into the last 10 minutes of this, which is kind of, it's a tricky part. Obviously, we're using Edgefor to get the data that we want for the particular trade. And then I like to couple it with, obviously, my indicators. So looking at the 20-moving average, the trend lines, and the volume, etc. Having that kind of injunction with the data is the best way to do it, in my opinion. But of course, we do have to be wary of the fact it's in the last 45 minutes to half an hour of the market close. So there's lots of volume coming in, lots of people buying and selling certain positions, which it comes across in the price action of the SPY and the QQQ, of course, because that is the market. So just be careful when you're out there. Yes, the data is good. Yes, the data is there for you to use, but it's not everything. Okay, so it's just there to kind of help you find your edge in the market. And more often than not, at least for me, it does. But you do have to pick your moments. You can't just use it every day because the data is not going to be on your side every day, of course. So just a little lesson there for you if you are going to pick up Edgefor as your guide to the markets. But so far for me, I've been using it for 3 months now, I think, roughly, something like that. And yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal. It's the more you play around with it. I know we're looking at the charts here, but the more you play around with the kind of settings, I mean, you can see here on the right side, you've got the bookmarks here. You've got the watch list, and you've obviously got all of the different reports that you can have. I have them sometimes on a daily. So what I mean by that is we jump over to Trade and View. I've got Edgefor Night up here as a preset, but if I drop that down, I've got Edgefor Day, which is things like gap fill, whereas Edgefor Night is my power hour breakout ones. So I can easily switch between them. So if I go to gap fill, we can see that probably the gap hasn't been filled today because of the jump and run. So there you go, that's reflected there. But also you can check out the gap fills on things like Tesla. So and this one actually has filled today. So there's lots of different things you can do, things to play around with. You can find your edge. What I would recommend is probably finding one strategy and sticking to it, at least for a little bit, just kind of get used to the platform and kind of how you perceive the data on a day-to-day basis. For me, obviously, I just use power hour breakout just because I'm based in the UK. I'm working, I have dinner, then it's basically the last hour of trading right there and then. So it just kind of makes sense for me from a logical point of view. But yeah, going back to the bookmarks and watch list, having these on the side here is really, really helpful because you can just quickly switch between all three of them. Let's go to the watch list and actually add a few things just to show you how easy it is. I want to add AMD for sure. So let's go ahead and add that. It's really simple. You literally just tap in the ticker symbol. I don't think all of them are on here yet. So for example, obviously people watching this may be into NEO, and that's not on here. It's more so the kind of bigger names and kind of American names, I guess. It could be seen that way, I guess. SMCI, do they have them? They do, yeah. So we can go ahead and add SMCI. I've just started a trade on that as well, so we'll see how that goes. And you can see, obviously, that reflects in the right side here. So that's all of those tickers have kind of been added there. You can just as easily take them away as well. If we go back to reports, I don't know how you do that, but I think you just maybe click on one and what's this? No, that's powerful. I don't know how you take them off of being on your watch list, but I'm sure it's fairly easy. I'm just drawing a blank right now. But yeah, and obviously the same with the bookmarks as well. To be honest, you could probably just do them all. Just have them all on the right side because there's plenty of space down this right side, of course. But yeah, no, that's a good way to do that. Really easy. Right, how are we looking going into the close now? Oh, look at that. Basically flat from, so this is the power hour continuation. If it closes above this candle here, let's go ahead and draw a line so you can see that. If it closes above this line, then that data that we see on the power hour continuation, so let's go back to that. This has reset itself. So what we can do on the right side is go power hour continuation and SPY. And there you go. The data is right there in front of you. And 88%, I zoom in, 88% has closed green. And I've actually, the date range has stayed the same as when I changed it earlier from just the bull run. So you can see that different markets have different statistics. So the bull market has basically gone up since the 22nd of April. And, since then, all the days have finished 88% closed green. And it's looking fairly comfortable for that. I mean, we've got 2 minutes. If that comes down below the green line, which is very possible, to be fair, it's not that far behind, is it? Let's get rid of that so we can see some lines. And that's it, really. That's what I wanted to cover today. Just a kind of power hour continuation report. Obviously, we couldn't have a look at the power hour breakout report because it wasn't set up like that today. But we did speak about it, and we spoke about how it would work. And we also spoke about how to kind of use watch lists to your advantage and bookmarks as well. So I think it's been a good session. I think next week I definitely want to have a look at the indicators on TradingView. I think that'd be a really useful session. Go through a few specific ones and how they work and how you can edit them. I think that'd be good to go through. But if you have enjoyed this, obviously give it a like if you're on YouTube. I didn't say that last week or the week before. But give it a like if you are on YouTube. And if you're not on YouTube, then subscribe to my YouTube. And that's come on. If you're not already, then there you go. Sean Trades _ Go and do that. I do appreciate it. I do actually have lots of other trading content as well. I don't just go live. I do have set videos with good psychological impact and kind of enhancing your trading journey for sure. And with that, we've got 30 seconds going into the close. Let's change the camera size. Oh. Well, there you go. Last little dump into the close. Well, I mean, it's not really a dump. It's just price action we had an hour ago, so it's not too bad. We'll see what happens tomorrow. And there we go. Market's closed. Yeah, thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. Have a good week. Make sure you trade safe. Just make good trades. Don't worry about the amounts that you're trading with or anything like that. Just have good entries, have good exits, and use Edgeful data to back that up. Very, very simple. Take care, everyone. Have a good day.